الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله.
الحمد لله رب العالمين إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله صلى الله عليه وسلم. يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتون إلا وأنتم مسلمون. يا أيها الناس اتقوا ربكم الذي خلقكم من نفس واحدة وخلق منها زوجها وبث منهما رجالا كثيرا ونساء اتقوا الله الذي تساءلون به والأرحام إن الله كان عليكم رقيبا. يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله وقولوا قولا سديدا يصلح لكم أعمالكم ويغفر لكم ذنوبكم ومن يطع الله ورسوله فقد فاز فوزا عظيما. أما بعد فإن أصدق الحديث كتاب الله وخير هدي محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم وشر الأمور محدثاتها وكل محدثات بدعة وكل بدعة ضلالة وكل ضلالة في النار. أما بعد فيقول الله تعالى في كتابه إن في ذلك لآيات للمتوسمين إن في ذلك لآيات للمتوسمين. وقال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم إياكم فراسة المؤمن فإنه ينظر بنور الله. والحمد لله رب العالمين. Alhamdulillah, we praise Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, send peace and blessings upon our beloved Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, and we're forever grateful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that He has blessed us to reach another Yawmul Juma'ah, another day of gathering. As the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam has already informed us that Yawmul Juma'ah was the day that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has set aside, has specified for our weekly gathering. Not with just this ummah, not with only the nation of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam or the community of the Prophet, but for the previous ummah, the previous nation, with the previous prophets. But the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam informed us that they differed amongst themselves, and they changed it to Saturday and Sunday respectively, with the Yahud and the Nasara, the Jews and the Christians. So their day was Friday as well. And this is something that we should take a special attention of, because even in our Fatiha, even in the Fatiha that we recite in our salat at least 17 times a day. And if you're a Muslim, you're saying it at least 17 times a day. Because when you add up all of the wajib rakats, the cycles in our prayer, for the 5 prayers, you come up with the number 17. With the 2 rakats for Fajr, the 4 for Dhuhr, the 4 for Asr, the 3 for Maghrib, and the 4 for Isha. That's not even including the supererogatory of the Nawafil Salat or any other time wherein we may recite Surah Fajr. So a bare minimum of 17 times a day, we recite this first chapter of the Quran, this first surah. And in that, we ask Allah, Ihdina sirata mustaqim. We ask Allah to guide us upon the straight path. Sirata ladina an'amta alayhim, the path of those who have your ni'mah, who have your blessings. Not the path of those who have your ghadab, ghayrul maghdubi alayhim, not those who have received the manifestation of your wrath. This is one of the things that we're asking Allah to keep away from us. And when Allah says that, all of the mufassirin, all of the scholars of tafsir of the Quran says, Hum al-Yahud, they are the Jews. Ghayrul maghdubi alayhim, they are the Jews. So when you recite Surah Al-Fatiha, you are in this surah, you are implicitly saying, Oh Allah, do not make me like the Jews. Wala dolin, and not like those who go astray. And likewise, all of them say, and Nasara, the Christians. Those who Allah is referring to as those who go astray are the Christians. So even in the Fatiha itself, we are asking Allah not to make us assimilate to the Jews and the Christians. In the Fatiha itself. And I'm saying it and I'm specifying this because we live here. Many of us and most of us, our default understanding is we should do such and so because the Jews and the Christians do it. It worked for them, so it should work for us. This is the way most of us think, whether we admit it openly or not. But even in the Fatiha, you're asking Allah for the opposite. We are asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for the opposite. So even in this Yawm al-Jum'ah, we gathered here on Yawm al-Jum'ah, is reflective of the fact that, alhamdulillah, we still hold this day sacred as it's supposed to be held sacred. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He says in Surah Al-Jum'ah, named, the Surah 62, named after this day, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu, idha nudiya lis-salati min yawmil jum'ah fas'aw ila dhikrillahi wa dharul bay'a. O you who believe, when the call for Friday or the Jumu'ah prayer is made, hasten to the remembrance of Allah and leave off all business, leave off all other transactions. That is better for you if you knew. Yawm al-Jum'ah. We don't want to assimilate to such an extent that we get to the mind state where Yawm al-Jum'ah is not that important. Where, if I make it, I make it. If I don't, I don't. If I make it on time, alhamdulillah. If I don't, well, mashallah. The Jumu'ah prayer is so important that it's mentioned in the Quran. And Allah commands us to hasten to it. We don't want to get lax with that. Because Jumu'ah prayer is one of the obligatory salats that we mentioned when we were talking about the 5 prayers, the Jumu'ah Khutbah, the Jumu'ah Salat takes the place of the Salat al-Dhuhr, the midday prayer. The Khutbah and the Salat take the place of that. This is why we're supposed to be perfectly silent and perfectly still during the Jumu'ah Khutbah, because it is actually taking the place of the Salat. It's actually taking the place of Salat. Yawm al-Jumu'ah is the time and place wherein we get recharged for the rest of the week. It's supposed to be the time and place where we come to not only get guidance, but get mau'idah, to get remembrance, to get motivated, to get some clarity on what's going on, which will carry us forward through the next week. Yawm al-Jumu'ah. Walhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Alhamdulillah, alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen, wa afdalu salatu wa atamu taslim ala Sayyidina Muhammadin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Wa radiyallahu ta'ala ala sajid tabi'in wa ulama al-amalin wa a'immatul arabat al-mujtahidin wa muqalidihim ila yawmiddin. Amma ba'd. Alhamdulillah, according to the calendar, which most of us are familiar with, it's called the Gregorian calendar. It's November 4th. We're less than a week away from what everybody is talking about, the presidential election. The day, the second Tuesday of the month, where American citizens go and are tricked into believing that they have a part to play in voting for who the president is. Now, I know a lot of you are not going to like what I have to say. I know most of you will dislike it. I just want to call your attention to a few things. When we were in school, and I don't know if they still teach this stuff in school, because I'm of the opinion that for the most part, very little is being taught in school. Back then, and it's even worse now. But at least we were taught about American politics in elementary school, junior high school, high school. We were always taught about something that they called the Electoral College. And we were taught, and I Googled it, they still teaching it, the information is not a secret, it's not the Trilateral Commission and the Bilderbergers and the Illuminati hide this information away. It's there. You don't have to dig for it. It's right there in plain view, in plain sight, that the group of people who are responsible for selecting or electing the President of the United States is this body of people called the Electoral College. They call that the electoral vote. They say it is them who ultimately choose who the president is going to be. This is why several months ago, all of the candidates were crisscrossing the country with all of the caucuses and all of the conventions. They were trying to get delegates in their pocket. These delegates are people who make up the electorates for the so-called Electoral College. Every state has a different number of people who come to this college, Electoral College. And every state has different rules. Every state, every jurisdiction has different rules on how this process even takes place. So it's not a seamless program. You have to actually dig and study to see how it's done from state to state. And these people say who they're going to vote for. even though they're under no legal obligation to vote for who they say they're going to vote for. If there is a conflict between the so-called popular vote, when you and I put that in quotes because I ain't really going to be there, but when you and I go to vote for the president on November 8th, if they tally up all of these votes, and it says that these people want this person to be president, and the Electoral College vote for somebody else, the one who becomes the president is who the Electoral College voted for. Now, some of you that are extremely upset and will have a problem with what I'm going to say will say that there's usually not too much difference between what the popular vote is and what the electoral vote is. I want to call your attention to something that happened not so long ago in the 2000 election. It came down to former Vice President Al Gore and future President George W. Bush. The votes were very close. See, one of our problems is that we have very short memory span. Somebody can slap us on the face on Tuesday, and on Friday we forget all about the fact that we were slapped in the face by this person. We'd be right back up in this person's face, oblivious to the fact that they have a propensity for slapping us in the face. And then we wonder why the right side of my face keep hurting so much. So, the votes were very close. According to them, it came down to one state, Florida. Who was the governor of Florida at that time? Jeb Bush, the brother of George Bush. They said there was a problem with the count. Absentee ballots. People that, for whatever reason, they don't go to a polling place, they mail their votes in or something like that. So, a lot of you don't remember, but people didn't know who the president was going to be. Well, the regular people didn't know who the president was going to be on Christmas. The election is in November. 2 months past. Nobody knows. This is history. We don't know who the president is going to be. It was all over the news every day. The same way nowadays when you turn on your news and you see something about Trump or something about Clinton, back in 2000, when you turned on your news after the election day, every day, it was like, who's the president of the United States going to be? We don't know. You thought your vote counted, but it didn't stop there. They said, what? Well, okay, we have a problem with the popular vote. What's the electoral vote? It's still too close with the electoral vote. We don't know that there were some problems with that. So we said, wow, this is unprecedented. This never happened before. What do we do now? So they sent the decision to the Supreme Court. And the Supreme Court made their decision based upon their understanding of what took place in Florida, they gave the election to George W. Bush. And the only reason why I mention all of this is just to remind you, just in case you forgot, that you were president in 2000. And we began this in this science of Mu'assim. Are those people who understand the way things work inwardly by examining the way things are outwardly. And then we mentioned a hadith that's found in Imam Tirmidhi's collection, narrated by Abu Huraira, where the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "Iyakum wa firasatul mu'min." Fear the insight of the believer. He used the word firasa, which means insight. In English, they say it's the science of physiognomy. What is that? That's when you look at the thing from the outside and you not only see what's apparent, what's obvious, because of your knowledge, because of, in this case, the insight that Allah gave you, you see what's happening on the inside. And as believers, all of us have a degree of this, but some of us are stronger than others. Believe it or not, scholars used to go travel to learn that science. The Sahaba had it. One popular example is Uthman ibn Affan. A man came to his house, and before he sought permission to come in, he saw a beautiful woman, like, whoa. So he got permission to come in to Uthman. Uthman didn't see what he saw, the woman or anything like that. It wasn't a conversation that took place. He just saw a woman, and it affected his heart. He walked into Uthman's house, and Uthman said, man, what's wrong with you coming to my house? You got zina written all over your face. You got fornication, adultery written all over your face. Don't come to my house like that. He had the science of firasa. The brother wasn't outside woo and hissing and grunting and stuff. He read it on his face. So as Muslims, we should have a little bit of insight into affairs. We shouldn't be what they call sheeple, just following behind what everybody else is doing. I had a Muslim tell me, Muslim from Pittsburgh here. I didn't even state my position. I said, this is on social media, on Facebook. I said, can somebody logically explain to me why I should vote in the presidential election? I was very specific, because my opinion is different with local elections. Well, I say, convince me to vote for local elections. But I'm just ignorant, just convince me. Brother came with some extra emotional stuff. Our ancestors died for this. I'm like, oh, okay, I just want you to explain it to me. Convince me, that's all. I ain't expressing my opinion. To you be your way, to be mine. He paraphrased Surah Kafirun. Lakum dinukum waliyadin. SubhanAllah, we on different deans? I didn't even make my position known. SubhanAllah. And usually when you talk about this subject, this is the type of response you're going to get. An overly emotional response. No facts, no logic. It's like when you're in a debate, and somebody that's skilled with debating, when they know they're going to lose, they ran out of facts to support their point of view, they get condescending, they get disrespectful, they start clowning you. You want me to accept your opinion with that big old nose you got? What do my big nose got to do with what we talking about? It's a deflective tactic. And this is what people do when they don't really have an answer and they can't defend their point. And this is what we do. You figure Muslims that have as guidance the Quran and the Sunnah, the Sirah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, we will at least be a little bit more sophisticated with regards to these matters. And so, in the year, what year was it? 2008, an unprecedented number of Muslims and black people came out to vote for President Barack Obama. And I've seen it on social media and YouTube. There were Muslims dancing in the street when they say he won the election. Muslims were extremely happy. Black people and Muslims said, yes, we have somebody that identifies with us. He's black. His father's from Kenya. Some people even said he was Muslim. And the people that don't like him say he was Muslim, as if that's a curse word. He's Muslim. They show a picture of him in the madrasa, learned the Quran when he was young. The Muslims say, yes, he at least relates to us. His first major speech when he addressed Muslims in Egypt, he's quoting Hadith. Muslims say, Allahu Akbar. Open. Meanwhile, Muslims getting killed by executive order, by drone strikes like it's going out of style. You would figure that the two groups who should know better are black people and Muslims. We don't get it though. I mean, who else are you going to elect that identifies more with you than somebody like that? The guy who was killed by police, oh no, well legally not by police because they ruled it a homicide, but they acquitted all the police who had contact with him. So he was killed, but we don't know who killed him. He just died by himself. His spine got broke by itself. In that situation, you got a black president, black attorney general, black police chief. Everybody's black in the equation, and he still get on. That should teach you something if you have been disconnected with the Quran. That the face you see in front of you is only the face. It's not who really runs things. Allah tells you this over and over and over in the Quran. When you read those surahs, including Fir'aun, who was the biggest tyrant. Fir'aun came from a group of people just like all other societies that we call in the Quranic language al-Mala'. Those are the ruling elite. The leader is a representative of them. Even when you read Fir'aun's story in the Quran, Fir'aun answers to al-Mala', this ruling elite. And they're gassing them up. You're going to let Musa talk all this stuff? He's going to get us out of, evict us out of our place? What you going to do, Pharaoh? This is Quranic guidance taking place here. But some of us, in spite of all of this, in spite of all of that, we feel the need to participate in this charade. If you're that intent on voting, I've seen something, we got like at least about 5-6 pieces of mail in the mailbox, almost all of which got to do with voting. How do you skip over local politics and go to national politics? You have more impact and you can see the fruits of your labor in local politics. How do you skip that and go to presidential? How do you, that's like you, a man, you're a husband in your house, and you work hard, and your family don't see none of your money. You feeding somebody else. You paying somebody else's light bill. You paying somebody else's gas bill. You paying somebody else's rent. In your house, you got a shut-off notice. In 7 days, if you don't pay this thing, it's getting cut off. So we got to worry about, we live in this neighborhood and I'm paying it. Okay, it's your neighborhood, but you take care of home first. You have more of an ability to affect change. If you're that gung-ho on entering into politics, you jump into presidential politics, as our brother mentioned in a private conversation, at the end part. You don't even jump in on the beginning part, you jump in on the end part. And you skip the local part. I bet you some of you don't even know that the police commissioner in Pittsburgh resigned. You worried about what's happening in D.C. when they already made up their minds who they're going to elect and vote. Muslims, we should be better and we should understand things better than this. Our immigrant brothers who come to this country, they don't understand. When you go to their countries, you can see how they or why they do what they do. Their societies are not run like ours. For example, I'll give you a simple example. If you're a Democrat in this country and your mayor or your president is a Republican, you'll still get your garbage picked up on trash day. You still get your services that you normally get regardless of who's the president or the mayor or the governor in your city and state. And a lot of our places in the so-called Muslim world is not like that. If you belong to one party or if you're affiliated with this group and the other group is in power, you may not get no services. In fact, you might disappear. So they come over here with that mindset and they jump all in the Kool-Aid and don't know what flavor it is. Just like they voted for George Bush. That's another thing y'all forgot. They voted for George Bush. Then they end up regretting it. And anybody that understands politics knows that voting don't really mean nothing. You need an economic base and you need to work together. And one of our problems that we have is working together. We find many examples to be divided amongst each other. So until we deal with that, we're not going to have any, regardless of what we do, locally or individually. Whether it be here or any place else. I guarantee you get all the communities in most of these cities together on a local level. I've seen it happen before. and you get an audience with whoever's in power, the mayor or what have you, and you have a meeting, and you have an agenda, and you try to work for something, I guarantee you, there'll be one organization, one imam, one sheikh, one president that's going to try to backdoor everybody else. Mr. Mayor, make your honor, let's talk to the side for a minute. Division. So until we get with that, you've only just waste of time. That's my opinion. I know a lot of you don't like that. I know a lot of that's not what you want to hear. You know, you like to hear the party line. But my only advice to you is go back to the Quran. Go back to the Sunnah. Go back to the seerah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam would never waste his time doing stuff that was a waste of time. If he did something, it was designed to produce a particular result. He wasn't an isolationist. He didn't say, oh, well, let's not worry about what's going on in Mecca. No, he was involved. You know the seerah. You know he helped rebuild the Kaaba. He put the black stone back in place. He participated on Hilful Fudul when somebody was done some injustice and the people came together to try to bring this foreigner some justice. So don't try to twist what I said and say, well, he's talking about being isolationist. No, I'm talking about you wasting your time. I'm talking about you doing something and you don't know why you're doing it. You don't know what benefit it is for you doing it. And historically speaking, you look in the past, there has been no benefit for you doing it. So why do you keep doing it? This is what I'm talking about. Again, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, again, he said, he said, fear the insight of the believer, because he looks with the light of Allah. That means he doesn't see things the way normal people see them. The people that don't have Iman see them. He sees something deeper than that. And it's a shame when non-Muslims have deeper penetrating insight than Muslims. That's bad. How you going to have Iman, faith, and somebody that don't have faith sees what's going on better than you? Have you forgotten that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said that the believer, again, that word, the believer, the one who has Iman, does not fall in the same hole, marratayn, 2 times. He doesn't get bit or stung in the same place twice. In other words, a believer learns from their mistakes. Oh, you tricked me that way one time. Okay, I ain't going that way again. Some of us, we get off on getting tricked. Walhamdulillahi rabbil alameen. ربنا اتنا في الدنيا حسنه وفي الاخره حسنه وقنا عذاب النار. اللهم تحسنا ومن كسبنا وتبارك الله.
Imam Naeem Abdullah of Masjid Al-Mu'min and Nur Zaman Institute is available for speaking engagements. You can contact Imam Naeem Abdullah at the following: via telephone at 267-388-0823 or write him at 537 Paulson Avenue, Pittsburgh, PA 15206, or via email at imamnaeem@nurzamaninstitute.org.
Bismillah.